Good morning. Welcome to our summer 2019 course walkthrough. Thanks for being here. If you are in the live chat, definitely say hello. And if you're watching this on the replay, let me know that you're here too. You can comment. You can comment on the area below, and if you're in the live chat, it's so great to see you all. I'm gonna just go over what we're going to talk about today. Today is week 1. Your course schedule is gonna look a little different. I have some notes on mine. So we're just going through week 1, which is pretty simple. There's not much homework and exercises involved, so I want to treat today as a chance to just answer any initial questions that you have with how to use the course, what supplies you need, and any other questions you might have. So while I go over those basics, I wanted to do this quick check-in. If you're in the live chat and you are there, let me know. Definitely say hello, where you're located, and if this is your first or second time as a student of the course. And just to clear up some confusion, there's a little bit, there's a variety of you out there. So mostly you're in the course if you're tuning in, but I also have some workshop students that I invited to just join in and see if they want to follow along as well. And so for the most part though, you're in the course, so you have all of the pre-recorded videos and all of the worksheets. And so hopefully that has been easy for you to navigate. I know there's a lot of information, but my goal is to hold your hand through it all and help you work through it. I want you to just consistently and constantly make progress. Don't worry about making these huge leaps and bounds. Just make sure you're always doing better than before. And so that'll look differently for everyone, and that's okay. So hello and welcome in. So while you're doing this check-in, I'll check the chat in a little bit, and you can also let me know in a comment below if you're watching this on the replay. So while you're doing that, I wanted to review these 3 steps for success. I had a little fun chart, but I'm just all about hard copy, so I wasn't able to put that on the screen. But 3 steps for success. So if you're following along with the course, make sure you're watching the video lessons. If you're not in the course and you're just a workshop student, then the video lessons pretty much mimic what we talked about in our class together. So that's just should just be the only difference between the 2 experiences. Do the homework and exercises. So along with each video and each week, there will be corresponding homework, assignments and exercises, and they kind of honestly go hand in hand. So like for this first week, I asked you to share your first work, which is exercise 1, and it's really just a chance to share where you're at. I love seeing the progress, and I know you're gonna love and appreciate seeing that first piece too. So don't worry if however it looks or how little experience you have, just pick up a pen and create something, whether it's the alphabet or a word, your name, anything. Awesome. And then you'll see as we go along that the exercise relates to that lesson, obviously, right? And then tune in, which is what you're doing here. If you are watching this, then you are already on the way to success because you are tuning into the live trainings. Now, the way this is going to work is it's 8 weeks, which correspond to the this is an old version, I need to update this, but the different sections or modules in the course, I break up the basic strokes into 2 weeks, and I break up the letters and words into 2 weeks. So that's where you get the total of 8 weeks. So that way there's enough time to go over everything, answer your questions. So in order for me to help you, I would love to push you guys to make sure you follow these steps. Try to watch the videos ahead of time. Think of these live trainings as like our check-in at the end of the week, or however you want to see it. And then if you're doing those homeworks and exercises, as you do that work, you'll come up with questions and know where you're struggling, and it helps when we get to the live trainings so I can do demos and then we can troubleshoot from there. Does that make sense? So I'm just hoping to push you guys Now, with that said, you guys know, I totally know that life gets in the way. So don't beat yourself up if you're not able to stay on track. I'm going to hop over to what the course looks like for a second. So if you're in the course, you've seen this before, and you know that all of these lessons here, they look overwhelming, but the good news is you can kind of see, like, if there's a timestamp next to the lesson, that means there's a video. And some of them are really easy and short to watch. Some of them are a bit longer, but I tried to keep them relatively digestible. So whether you are, washing the dishes, you could watch a lesson. If you have a moment to spare and you're in between, your day-to-day life, they could be easier to watch. So I just want to encourage you to watch those ahead of time. If there isn't a timestamp, for example, this lesson here, 2.3b, then that just means there's a lot of words to read and some descriptions and pictures to demonstrate what any extra tips that I want to share with you. Okay? And then you can go back to the course, to the listing of all the lessons. So hopefully that all makes sense. It seems like people haven't been telling me any issues they've been having, mostly with logging in. Some of the second timers have been telling me that they forgot their passwords and all, but otherwise it should be pretty easy to navigate. And as always, you can send me an email or a note and we can get you set up. So quick check-in before I answer any questions about the supplies and the guide sheets. I also wanted to go over like all of the printouts. So let's see who we have here. We have, oh my goodness, so Natalia from Venezuela, Mary, Wendy, Vicky, Katie, Diane, Maria, Gabby, let's see, did I say Vicky already? Vicky, Rose, Lavina, Nancy, and Annabelle, and I'm sure there's more of you in there. Don't be shy, say hi, or leave me a comment below. It's great to hear from you. Now I want to talk about two ways to share your work, two main ways to share your work. So the first one is in the course itself, right? So let me just go back to what that course looks like. So for example, in exercise 1, in your first piece, it's been wonderful to see you guys sharing your photos of your work. So when you go to that lesson, okay, sorry, let me start from the top. So I explain what to do, what the lesson is for. You can scroll down. There's usually a download that accompanies the exercise. But I always say that you can do these without the printouts as well. If you just want to do it on your own paper or notebook, then you leave a comment. It's pretty simple. There's basically just a commenting section and then a photo upload section. So do you see that little plus icon with the photo? So Katie shared a piece, Maria shared a piece, and when I click on that photo, Maria, I'm going to put you on the spot, then, oh, you know what? I don't think your view can see this. Anyway, when you click on this photo, it pulls up and you can see the, let me see, I can probably do this. You can see the thumbnail. So that's pretty cool. Let's see, if I click on that, then there we go. Do you see that? So that is Maria's first piece, and I'm able to view it and everyone can see it. So I love seeing you guys post your work, and you can just send a photo. You don't necessarily have to scan it or anything. You don't have to be fancy. You could literally just take a photo and then you can share your work. And then it's awesome to have everyone comment on each other's work, observe it, and all that. So it's really a great community. Okay, so moving on to the second place, let me just type it in here. The second place to share your work is also in our Facebook group. And I'm looking for, I need to spend some time updating the group, but what was really great on the first round is that under the photo tab, I would create an album for people to share their work. So if you kind of scroll back to the beginning, you'll see the different exercise albums. So just use it how you can. You can just post it directly here in the main feed and share your work. It's really up to you just how to use this group. And most of us are familiar with Facebook. And if you're not in Facebook, no worries. You still have the course to share your work. And the last way that I want to tell you is you can always email me a copy of your work. So of course I love if you would share in our group, but I understand if you want to keep it private just between us, that's totally fine too. You could just send me an email. Cool. So it looks like everyone's tracking with me. So I'm going to just jump into, let's see. So by now you should have reviewed some of the beginning lessons, and a lot of you have seen this example. So I'm not going to go over it too much in depth, but this first section is really just getting familiar with what is calligraphy, how does it differ from other types of calligraphy, and you should be downloading and printing the workbook pages, but again, if not, you can always just view them on your computer screen or your tablet, and then you can just use your own paper for your own work. Okay, so I actually had to dust this off and find my old notes because it's been 2 years, you guys, since I first launched the course. Okay, so I feel like a teacher who's like coming back from a long break. And so there's a lot of reference guides which you'll find helpful. I'm currently updating them, but for the most part you can still see the old ones. I didn't want to necessarily take them down, but I'm going to just open it up to the chat, you guys, if there's any questions you have initially about just getting started. Okay, so let me know if you have any comments or questions, and if not, I'm just going to keep talking about what you can expect. Okay, so here is a look at what the reference guides look like, and then the exercises, which are pretty fun, they look like this. Okay, so you'll have usually a place to put your date and do the exercise. Okay, and so you'll have space to do your work. And I wanted to make a point to, we'll talk more about this next week because the next week is more about the brush pen, but for now I wanted to share that be very conscious of the pen you're using. So I've had some students already contact me having issues with the large pen versus the smaller pens. Okay, if you don't know the difference, we're going to talk all about that next week. But the point is there are some pens that are much larger and some pens that are much smaller. And depending on the size of your pen, you're going to want to adjust your guidelines that you're using. Okay, so in general, larger pens you want to use on a larger set of guidelines. I put 15 millimeters here, but you can kind of go with how you feel. Like for example, if you're using your notebook and you don't have guidelines, and say you're trying to fit your writing in one of these boxes, and so you're doing your A, you're doing your B. Can you just already tell the problem with doing this? Too tiny, right? So you don't even need to be exact, but you can tell that you need to really open up that space at least, right? So this is about 3 boxes. I've seen people use larger. I think 2 boxes is really pushing it. It's just hard to see those transitions in 2 boxes. But the point is, right, if you notice your work looking like this, you need to make your guidelines bigger, or you need to write on a bigger scale. Now, the opposite is true. If you are using a small pen and you're using guidelines that are a little bit too large, this is how you'll know, because say you're trying to fill 4 lines of your notepad, it just looks awkward because it's such a fine point and this space is so large. So it's not that it's impossible to write on such a large scale, but it's just so long and it doesn't it's just not proportional because the strokes are so small and so fine, and so what would look better is if you write a little bit smaller, okay? So go ahead and try just 2 boxes on your, when I say 2 boxes, if you have no idea what I'm talking about my Rhodia notepad, but if you just have some regular graph paper or lined paper, or you can use my guide sheets that I have in the course. So that's what I'm talking about, just adjusting to a smaller scale. You can also write on a smaller, in one box. It's a little bit tiny, but it's doable, okay? Actually, a lot of people just use 1 box because it's just nice and snug for that pen, okay? So that's just a comment I wanted to make on the differences between large pens and small pens. Now, one other thing I wanted to point out is that usually my examples, like if I go back to all of my reference guides, you'll notice, and this goes for workshop students too, you'll notice that they're all with the large pen, mostly, right? And that is because, number 1, it's easier to see the transitions, and number 2, I personally started learning with the large pen. So I kind of started learning and getting comfortable with the large pen. It wasn't until later in my calligraphy journey and doing more that I got really comfortable with the smaller brush pen. So the point I'm trying to make is that this time around, I'm going to be focusing on the smaller brush pen, okay? And I don't want to keep confusing, so I just wanted to point that out now in the beginning so that you don't feel like you can't use the large brush pen, but I am going to be focusing on the smaller brush pen, but you'll still have the references for you. So hopefully that makes sense, and I just want to drive home the point that you don't have to feel locked into one pen or the other. There's just so many pens out there. And with that said, you also don't want to feel like you have to have the perfect pen, right? I always say that. Okay, so I don't know if you guys are thinking of any questions, but let's see what else I have here. So we went over the workbook, Facebook group. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about guidelines. So you'll notice that I have a couple of options there. So you have large guidelines that look like this, and then you have smaller guidelines too. But not only the size, right, like the height of your lines, but the slant. I've had some students already reaching out to me with some questions about what slant to use. So just a quick little demo. Whether you are using the large brush pens, okay, and if we're doing our letters, then that's going to look like this. So I'm just going to do a couple of A's just to keep it easy. Okay, so this here is a very slanted guideline, but if that is a little bit too slanted for you, you are welcome to use a more upright style. I recommend just literally using the vertical lines on a notebook if you have one. Okay, and then so you're going to turn your pen, and we'll talk more about positioning and the brush pen, but that's going to look like this. So then your practice is going to be more upright, but you'll still be able to have the letters and the connections just adjusted to the upright position. Okay, and you can kind of, I tried to do a little bit of upright here. They weren't connected, I don't know, had fun with it, but you can see, you know, just depending on the angle that you're writing with, you can just change the style of your writing. And then let's jump to the smaller guidelines. So then you could use something smaller, and then this is on the slant. So then your practice is going to look a little bit smaller, but still with that same slant as the first example. Okay. And then if you feel like you like the small pen, but you want to write on a more upright direction, then that's where you would want to change the guide sheets you're using and go more in an upright position. Okay. Oh, this is just too tiny. I'm gonna have to use 2 boxes. Okay. All right, my friends on the other side of the screen, let me know with a thumbs up or some hearts if you are excited to go and you have your pens ready, your supplies ready, you've printed out the worksheets, thumbs up or some hearts. And if not, I want you to just tell me what's the next thing you're gonna work on. So let me know in the chat or in a comment below, what's the next thing that you have on your to-do list? Do you need to buy some pens? Do you need to print out some worksheets? Do you need to clear off an area in your kitchen, in your office, so you can get started? I want to know, so let me know. Thumbs up, you're good to go. You can't wait for the next week, or what is the next thing you're going to work on? I want to just go over in general, just some common questions that I get. You know, some questions are like, how fast or slow do I need to go through the course? Like, should I watch all the videos first? And obviously, I tell you that here. I wouldn't recommend jumping ahead too far. If you are just super excited and you can't wait, of course, I'm not going to stop you. I know how that can be. But really, the whole point of these next 8 weeks is to kind of track along with each other and find this steady pace, because it's, as you know, easy to get overwhelmed fast. And so I just want to make sure that you aren't, you're just going at a good pace for you. I want to look ahead to next week and let you know that we're going to talk all about using the brush pen. So come ready with your questions. There are a couple of videos in that lesson about the brush pen, how to use it, ratios and guidelines, how to grip your pen. And shout out to my lefties. I always remember to give you guys tips as well and make sure that your questions are covered. So just a quick preview to next week, we're going to talk about how, let's say you want to write on a slant. That's like this here. So if you are a righty, we're going to talk about how you take your pen from a straight up direction and you're turning it onto an angle, but then you're pointing it perpendicular to your slant line so that when you write, it is aligned with that slant line. Okay, and if you are a lefty, the same thing goes for you. From that upright view, you're going to pull your hand down at a slant, and then you're going to make sure your pen is pointed perpendicular to that slant line so that when you create your letters, ooh, it's been a while since I've written with my left hand. So that way you can make sure, let's just do some underturns. But it is possible to write as a lefty. I'm excited to, see who my lefties are this time around. So that's next week. And then we're going to talk about, our precious thin up and thick down. This is like your mantra number 1. So you're going to be doing a lot of drills and exercises. So make sure to watch those videos in the course. And again, if you're a workshop student, you've seen these before, so pull out your workbook and just remember some of the concepts that we talked about on how to do that thin up and thick down exercise. And exercise 2, let me just pull it up here so you guys can take a look. We are doing the thin up and thick down. It's really simple. Thin up and thick down with a large pen, upright and at a slant. And then we're doing the small, you can also, if you have one, use a smaller brush pen, again, upright and at an angle as well. So just make sure to get that printout, or you can just do that on your own paper, no biggie. What else? And then adjusting your grip. I'm gonna have to relook at that lesson. I forgot what I wrote in there, but and there's a bonus model for lefty tips if you're interested. I'm going to be redoing that demo. I had some lefty friends join in and help me out, but now that I've kind of developed more experience, I just want to kind of redo that whole section. Everything is to come. The fact that you're tuning in and you're here, you will always get updates to this course, so don't feel like you are not in the right place at the right time. You are in the perfect place, perfect time. I just want to encourage you to keep on going. If you are on Instagram, you guys know that I love posting, so please share your work with me at Pieces Calligraphy. I'm going to be a little bit more involved now that I'm kind of kicked off the course. I was a little busy in the recent weeks, but if you are on Instagram, I would love to connect with you. You do have to have a public profile in order to make it work. I've encouraged students to create a separate account to just keep it separate from your personal stuff. I found that really beneficial for myself. So just a little tidbit for you. And then so tag me, send me a DM, a direct message if you want to share your work that way. And I just want to tell you guys thank you for being here. I will see you next week. Now, I apologize for this, but we will have a different time next week because I am actually throwing my twin boys a birthday party. So it's weird. The time is early in the morning, so I won't be available till the afternoon. So just take a look at the schedule. I'll be sending out an email reminder and posting in the Facebook group that we're going to meet, I believe, at 4 p.m. next week. So let me just write that here. So next week, week 2, it'll still be August 10th, Saturday, but we're going to meet at 4 p.m. and that's Pacific time. Okay, if you are in the East Coast, that's 7 p.m. And if you're anywhere else around the world, you can look up that time zone conversion. So this is just Pacific time, 4 p.m. Okay, and I'll send out a link to that, but all of the links should be, let me transition one more time. All of the links are in the course walkthrough live training lesson already. So there you go, 4 p.m. Oh my gosh, you guys, you're not calling me out. Look at this. It's supposed to be August 17th. Today's the 10th, duh. I think I need another cup of coffee. So let's fix this. 17th. Oh, that's embarrassing, but you guys know I'm human. So August 17th, it's 4 p.m. My boy's birthday party. So I will see you then. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. It was awesome to see you and also see, oh, thank you, Annabelle and Mary, for correcting me. It was awesome to see you guys. My new students, welcome, and I'm super excited to get started with you. Communication is key, and doing the work, obviously, is going to get you the results. So communicate by showing up for the live trainings, commenting, sending me messages, and doing the work. Remember, we want to be successful. I don't want this to be another course you sign up for and it just gets dusty and you never touch your pens again. I really want to push you to be making progress. I think I saw Sue in the chat and she was saying third time is a charm. So she's been an amazing student. I've met her in person and she's just tuned into the live trainings every time. And so you're right. It's just this continual tuning in and practicing. So thank you so much. And I will, oh, hi. Yes, I will see you guys next week. Thank you for the birthday wishes. The boys are 6. Can you believe it? And baby Pieces is 2. So I will see you guys next time. Okay, I'm scrolling up and I see a question from Katie I wanted to address really quick. Should I use a pencil to create a slant line on my Rodian notepad? You know, always adding any extra guidelines is helpful. So I have a pencil here. Ooh, it's pretty dull. So yeah, and I should get a ruler, but I can't run across the room right now. If you can add a slant line, you know, just for a guide, that would be great. But you're saying, sorry, if you want to write upright. You still can if you want to write upright. I think it's just nice for your eye to have some kind of guide to see. And it's almost like an anchor for your vision, you know, for your view. So then as you begin writing, you have something to keep an eye on. And you can make sure that your thick strokes are aligned with that slant line. So yeah, so in general, using a pencil is always helpful. Let me know, Katie, if that was good or if you have any other questions about that. Diane says, need to find time to practice, so busy. I'll bring my pens to meetings. There you go. I love decorating my notes. It keeps me awake and focused. And Wendy, you got my kit. Awesome. But no worries. I love getting new supplies, so that's fun. Natalia, I hope I said that right. For the small pen, should I use a 10 millimeter? Yes, that would be my best recommendation for small pens, the 10 millimeter and the 55 degrees slant line. But I wanted to point out those other options in like writing upright, just because sometimes it's a little bit easier for some students. So that would be my recommendation, though, the 10 millimeter with the 55 degrees. Did I miss anyone's questions? Gabby's printing out worksheets, and I think we're good. So if you're still around, thank you so much. I will see you guys next week. So have a great week. Be sure to watch the videos. I'll be popping in your inbox with reminders for the live training, and replays will always be available at the same link. So once I turn this off, it'll just be available again for you to view. And I'll see you next time. Bye.